back to my channel. My name is Eruca Rose, and today we're going to be talking about attraction and compatibility in astrology. Do you feel cleansed? Sage it up, baby. Attraction in the Zodiac, relationships through astrology. We're getting sort of into synastry astrology here, and if you haven't heard much about synastry astrology, it's basically taking two people's charts and overlapping them, and you get a lot more information that way. So if you haven't heard much about it, consider this your little introduction to synastry astrology. It's very important to note that it is not just simply like Googling which signs are compatible in the Zodiac, and it's a lot more than like finding someone with the same sun sign element as you. Here we're going to discuss some major aspects that play a big part in attraction and compatibility. I'm going to be referring to romantic relationships mainly, but a lot of this would also apply to friendships or coworkers or whoever. So let's keep in mind that what you are looking for in life, what you're focused on, like what your intentions are throughout life, is usually what you kind of bring to yourself. But since we are looking for people who fit the kind of mold we want our life to be like, either consciously or subconsciously, we need to be very intentional about what we look for in people in order to find healthy relationships. In astrology, it's not only your sun sign that determines who you're interested in. It depends on your entire chart. It's a complex system. The sun shows your general personality traits, okay? You usually like people for more than just their general personality traits. If I only went by what my sun sign was, I'm a Scorpio. I do happen to like Pisces people, but I don't think I would like every Pisces person, right? Like, not every Pisces is the same. So you really need to look at the whole chart, their whole birth chart. That chart would show all of their little complexities as a person. And then when you put my chart on top of theirs, you would get the synastry chart, and you could see how we would interact with each other, our dynamic long term. So here are some placements that I think are like high priority to look at if you were going to do a synastry reading or try to look at your chart with someone else's. So the first thing in my mind, past the sun signs, would be the North Node. So the North Node shows where you're headed in life. It's your life path. It's what you strive for, what you look for to incorporate into your life more and more all the time. So if you have a North Node that conflicts with someone else's, you may not be drawn to each other as much. So for example, Michael has a Sagittarius rising, and I have a Sagittarius North Node. So my North Node saw that rising sign in him, because I'll talk about risings in a moment, but I was drawn to that in him because I like to incorporate more of that energy into my life. Past that, when we talk about compatibility in North Node, this could show whether this would be a long-term relationship or not, or if you're going to be like growing apart or growing together. You know, there could be some relationship dynamics that you do well growing apart and getting distance between each other, but you still maintain a relationship. That's not necessarily a guarantee that your relationship grows apart, but it is like sort of a sign. It depends on the whole chart. Yeah, if you have North Nodes that go well together, like my parents have like the exact same North Node. My parents have like the exact same North Node, and they just continue to move closer and closer together as they get older, it seems like. This would be something that you would look at to see like a length maybe of a relationship, to see as you develop how close you'll continue to be. Next, I'll talk about the rising thing, the ascendant. This is the sign of your first house that rules your first house. And so this is how you come off to people. It's your persona, sort of the mask you wear. If you come off a certain way to someone and they're interested in how you come off, that's going to be an attraction thing. If you are very different than how you come off, It could sort of be like they get to know you better and they're not as interested all of a sudden. Or it could be, let's see, like you see those, you know, those movies where the main couple, like they're not together when the movie starts and they hate each other and they fight and then they get to know each other deeper. They see some more levels to each other and then they fall in love. It's kind of like that. Like your ascendant is that first layer, or one of those first layers, you know, and it, you might not like that layer, but you might like what's underneath that layer. You don't know. It can create a really strong surface level attachment here, or attraction. You just need to make sure that you are looking past the rising here. If you're going to be looking for like a longer term relationship. But if you're looking for something short term, look at the risings, man. Your ascendant is also a lesson you need to learn in this life. It's a karmic lesson. It's something you aren't allowed to refute throughout your life. It is sort of forced upon you, and being your first house, the head. And this in a relationship can create issues if those lessons don't line up well. Also, the ascendant can show how you view the world, and it can be important in a relationship to view the world in a similar or compatible way. So definitely look at ascendants when you are doing synastry things and looking at compatibility. Now, along with the ascendant here, I would look for any stelliums, because stelliums can act very similar to ascendants. The stelliums are going to be something people notice right away. Like I have a Scorpio stellium, so even though I have an Aquarius ascendant, people usually also notice a lot of Scorpio energy. People who are drawn to Scorpio energy would be drawn to me as well, or if they're drawn to Aquarian energy. Probably pretty quick. Next, I think it's important to look at the midheaven. The midheaven is how people want to come off to others. So this can be in your professional life, how you come off professionally, or on social media, or it's usually like a bigger audience is where they'll be showing off their midheaven. So if your midheavens are compatible, you may be attracted to them a lot quicker too, because you're going to be noticing like they come off in this way that I'm interested in. So you're going to like what they're purposefully and intentionally like sort of putting out there. And this can also sort of be, this can be a very strong attraction, because this is, you know, sort of the parts of themselves they actively want to show to the world. But again, you do need to look deeper than that. And then compatibility wise, the midheaven could be a lot about how you guys come off as a couple to the world. So if you are looking to have a relationship where you're public with it, you know, you guys want to have compatible midheavens so that you can relate to the world in the same way. You guys want to put out the same information online, like same or type of information or amount of information. This could be that you can go to each other's work events because you want to be professional in a similar or compatible way. So a lot of this type of thing with the midheaven, how you want to present yourselves. Next, we'll go over the moon. The moon is wonderful and emotional and all of that. It is how your inner self, it is how you feel things through, and so much more. It's very deep connections when you like hook on to somebody else's moon sign. You're going to feel a very like real connection with them. This might be the situation where you guys end up like hitting it off right away, and you just feel like you've known them, sort of thing. Or maybe, I mean, that's totally possible, but or you feel just very close to them without trying too much. You guys kind of get each other like emotionally, and that's very attractive, you know. And it's also a very compatible thing. If your moon signs are compatible, then you can go pretty far with that, you know. So it does depend on the whole chart, but a moon sign, a favorable moon sign aspect is wonderful. Now, Mars. So if your Mars is going good with someone else's Mars, this is going to be that, like, passion, okay? This is that, like, you know, like, you're going to be really into them. You're going to be really driven to, like, make a move with them. It'll probably be good when you guys are alone, if you know what I mean. And I could do a video about how sex in the zodiac goes, but I don't really want to cover that in this video, so let me know if you'd like to see that. Again, Mars is the passion and the fire. It can all, but with passion can come arguments. Next, we'll talk about Mercury for a moment. Mercury is how the way you communicate and the way you think logically, and more than that, but the basics, there we go. So with Mercury, someone could be drawn and attracted to the way you talk, the way you communicate. Someone could be drawn to the way you think. You know, there's a whole sapiosexual world out there. There's a lot here for compatibility with Mercury as well. It's really great to have good communication with who you're interested in. This is so important in a relationship. And then with logical thinking, it's really great to think in a similar way as your partner. Because, like, Michael and I will have, like, an issue come up about whatever's happening, and then we'll kind of think about it for a moment, and then we'll kind of look at each other and have, like, the same conclusion or, like, solution to the issue, because we approached the problem in a similar way, and we both quickly came up with about the same type of answer. So definitely look at your Mercury placements. And now, as many of you can assume, the one thing that you're probably like, why hasn't she said this planet yet? Venus. So Venus, of course, is involved here. It's just that everybody talks about Venus, and I didn't want to make the whole video about Venus. I wanted to give you new content that I haven't seen on the internet. But yes, Venus is very important. It is how you show like bonds with other people. It doesn't have to just be romantic relationships. Venus, when you talk about Venus, it's important to say that it is all partnerships. And just, yeah, if your Venuses are connecting, you're doing good. Like, it's important to have that aspect of your relationship for sure. This is going to show the way you love other people, and the way they love other people. And if this is sort of maybe a love language sort of conversation it's turning into now, but yeah, if those can meet each other's needs, then you're doing well. All placements matter, but especially these I mentioned here. Basically, everything has to match up and well enough on your chart for you to tolerate each other long term in a healthy way. Past this, you could definitely look at transits. Transit charts will tell you much more about what's going on in the moment, because there are definitely situations where their synastry chart looks like they would totally get along, but there's something huge happening, being triggered on the transit reading for each person that they're just not going to see eye to eye right now, or it really depends on what's happening in the skies currently. So if you don't know what a transit chart is, it's the chart of the current sky, and how the planets are impacting your chart, your birth chart right now. You could also look at the past or the future, whatever. So you want to look at all of those charts if you're really wanting to get the most out of all of this. If someone's going through something temporarily, it would impact their relationship, you know, it would impact how they communicate with the other person, and that would change their dynamic for a temporary time, but their synastry chart would stay the same because it is their birth charts. They're unchanging as it goes along. So your relationships with other people can, like, shift and everything, but that's because of the transit chart, not necessarily the natal chart. That could also be something shown that shows more over time in a natal chart. So that's a whole nother video, it sounds like now. Next, I want to talk about you relive the lessons until you learn them. Tying in with transit involvement here, the lesson you are destined to learn right now may require you meeting several different souls in order for you to learn the lesson, or maybe you have several lessons to learn, you need to meet different souls. So there's no timeline on how long you should be taking on each lesson in your life, but I think that if you are aware of what's going on, the more self-reflective and mindful you are, the more open to making these changes you will become. I just got a bunch of notifications. So these lessons on the zodiac chart will look like something with Chiron, something with Saturn, something with the South Node, any poorly or negatively aspected planets. I use those words very lightly because in astrology and in a lot of spiritual areas like this, there is no good or bad. It's just different energies, and they're all important. You will repeat the same issue until you change your pattern. You know, I have a friend who I know who watches these videos, and he told me when I was going through a lot of difficult things when I was a teenager, you know, the definition of insanity is that you do the same thing over and over and expect different results. And I was like very mad for him to tell me that at the time, but I get it, and I just wasn't ready to hear that yet. But it's so funny because he was so right. You need to do differently. If you want your life to be different, you need to do differently. And it's much easier said than done. There are different reasons that hold us back from making these changes in our lives, but just know until you make a change, it's going to keep happening. I would recommend getting yourself out of that rut in an inspired way, something that you can be excited about. If you are like going on a diet or doing something that you don't really want to do, you don't really want to make that change, you're not going to stick to it, man. Like, this is tying into my intentions stuff. You need to check out my intentions videos. But I have another one coming up soon. You have to let yourself be excited about these changes. You just recognize what you need to do and how you want to do it. Take a stand for your life and like take some action, you know? Value what we have here. Even if you believe that you reincarnate and have multiple lives, this is the one you're in right now. You might as well make the most of it, right? Like, go forward in a healthy and balanced way that would make your higher self proud, or your God or universe, whatever. Okay, next I want to talk about balancing traits. If you have a strong pattern in your chart, something that is like a theme for your chart, you might be attracted to people who sort of balance that out in a way or have similar themes in their chart. For example, if you're prone to a lot of emotional stress, you might look for someone who can match your emotional stress, or you may look for someone who can balance it. I have seen the most long-lasting relationships be when these people find someone who balances that emotional stress. And this is just an example. It could be different areas that you are leaning towards in your chart, like different themes that you have in your chart. But this example, I see a lot of the emotionally stressed people end up with Taurus moons. A lot of them end up with these really stable moon signs, and it's really beautiful relationships. It's this really great dynamic where these Taurus moons are offering some emotional stability for their partner. And then by flipping that, it could be that Taurus moons want some excitement, and then their partner can offer that. So there's really no, and I say emotional stress not in a negative way, it's just different energies, you know? So there is obviously so much more to attraction and relationships and compatibility than I can cover in this astrology video. And I can make more videos related to this. Just let me know in the comments or on Instagram. I'm on Instagram like daily. Just remember, never isolate any placement. No placement is an island. No chart is an island. As above, so below. And thank you for watching. If you've had a synastry reading before, let me know how it went and like down in the comments. I'd love to hear about it. I'm really interested to see everyone's experiences that comes here. And if you have any other astrology topics you would like me to cover, DM me, put it in the comments, let me know. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. You can hit the bell if you want to know right away when I upload. See ya.
Yeah.